Hey y'all, today we're talking about relationships. I have my co-host Jeff, who's also known as the Professor. He is an executive coach, a trainer, and a facilitator who loves helping people solve their problems. And anytime I talk about relationships, you're going to hear me talk to Jeff because that's my guy who really loves to break things down. Don't forget, you can find these episodes streaming live Monday and Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to catch the visuals, go to YouTube. Find me at Celeste the Therapist. If you want to follow me on all social media platforms, you can search Celeste the Therapist. I have a couple of books that are out if you want to support the podcast. One book is called Relationship Goals. Another book is called 365 Days of Intentional Living. It's a guided journal that I created to help you really process your day. And if you want to be a part of the podcast and be a guest, email me admin, ADMIN, at CelesteTherapist.com. And let's get into this amazing episode.
I've literally heard women say, oh, you let me, I let you come in me. Because that's like, to them, that's like a line where once that line is crossed, we're something else. But that's a classic implicit contract, right? That has nothing to do with the actual situation, which is until we've talked about it, it's not the deal. The burden of the contract is on the implier. So meaning until one of us says we're boyfriend and girlfriend, we're not. Until one of us says we're a monogamous or exclusive, we're not.
365 days, but I treat every day like it's my last. I'm only concerned with building on the future, cause I can't change my past. Positive vibes for positive lives. She just giving you that truth and shifting your mind. It's more mental than you realize. It's up to you to take control, cause this world is cold and negativity gon' take its toll. Now we've been told any day could be your last. I'm embracing every moment and I cherish every laugh, every smile, every hug, every kiss, every touch, every person in my life that I care about and love. But wait, maybe I'm getting too emotional. That's exactly what they say you ain't supposed to do. Suppress your feelings, never talk about your pain. Can't appreciate the sun without acknowledging it rains, right? That's right. So this a moment of clarity. And make sure you always protect your energy. You stay focused and your life gon' be lit. And you are now rocking with Celeste the Therapist. Let's go.
So, how are you today?
Oh, I'm delightful. Every day is a joy in this global pandemic.
Yeah, we try to make it as best as we can, right? One day at a time. But I am going to start with the clip. And Jeff has no idea what this clip is. So we're going to start with this clip. And today we are talking about relationships. So this is a clip from a podcast called Cruise Season. They only talk about relationships. It's actually a pretty dope podcast.
What is on your checklist? Quality time is a big thing on your checklist. Mm-hmm. If all y'all doing is texting, why are you asking us this question? You already know you shouldn't mess with this. Why are you trying to find a excuse for why you're not getting with him? To keep messing with this man.
One reason.
Like you answered the question yourself. You want quality time, and he's not giving you what you need. And I hope you already voiced that to him. Like, hey, I don't like texting that much, which a lot of women will say in the beginning stages. I don't like texting that much. I'm more of a vocal person, so I want to FaceTime. If you anytime FaceTime out the blue and he just ignored it, okay, cool. Move the fuck around. He's not giving you what you need.
Simple and plain.
So I would love to hear your initial thoughts about the statement. If you're not getting what you need, why continue to move on? Why stay? What's your thoughts on that?
So if I'm getting it right, what they were talking about was this woman must have written in and said, hey, I got this guy, I really like him, but we don't have a lot of quality time because he'll text me back, he'll text me late, whatever. But I'm the kind of person that wants to talk or just sit and talk for hours about space and music. And this guy,
space and music, we don't be asking to talk about space.
This hypothetical woman, she's just like, I want more. Well, she's not hypothetical, she's real, but I don't know what she said. But that she wants more like nose to nose time, and this guy is just texting her. And so then that young man in his perhaps a bit callous way is saying like, well, he's not giving it to you, so bounce. But I think it steps over, that just jumps to like the end. I think if we really want to say the issue then is that she has somebody that she likes, which is rare, right? You don't like everybody. So she has somebody that she likes, but they're not behaving in the way that she would like them to behave. So
Okay.
tell me, Show, how can I change this person into the person I want them to be?
I feel like that's the wrong kind of mentality around like the changing the person. And this scenario is so common around, I really like this person, but then as we continue to court or date or whatever, there are these things that come up, and I feel like people make excuses for not getting what they really want out of the relationship. What do you think?
Right. Well, your likes aren't rational. And really, most of your decision making is not rational.
Your
So
life is not rational?
yeah, so if you said, Jeff, what's your favorite food? I'll give you a long list of things that explain why I don't wear a Speedo at the beach, right? But if I could like what I should like, then I guess I would like salad and granola and these things, but I don't like them. Or I don't like them more than I like cake, right? Because my likes aren't rational, right?
Rational. Okay, you're losing me with the rational part.
They're not rational. You don't need a reason. I don't like I got every reason not to like cake, right? It makes you overweight. It's just not, it's not better. There's no rational defense of cake over salad. And yet I don't blow out the candles on my birthday salad. I want cake on my birthday because I like what I like. It's not rational. It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
And so she likes who she likes, and it doesn't make sense, right? Okay. And so then when the guys are saying, well, I'm standing on the outside, I see that you're not getting what you want, so just leave. But that's like saying, don't want cake more than salad because clearly salad is better for you. And that's the trap that a lot of people are in. So in the same way that you skip the cake with discipline, you have to have some emotional discipline and say, I like this person, but I'm not getting what I need. I see V Baby said, how can she legitimately like him without the communication she wants? But V Baby, you know that that's possible. I don't have to know you to know that you've liked somebody that wasn't giving you everything that you wanted. I know you have, because that almost everyone has experienced that, because it's not rational, right? And so you have to decide. You can't change your feelings, but what you can change is your decisions. So, for example, she can feel like, man, I really want to call this guy tonight, but I've rationally decided that I'm not going to do so. I'm going to instead, I don't know, go on Tinder. What do people do? Whatever she's going to do. COVID makes it a little hard, but I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to go to a museum or something like that. But you go, but I don't want to do that. I want the person that I like to behave the way I want them to behave. But it's just as easy for him. It's just as easy for you to change your likes as it is for him to change how he likes to live.
That's true. I feel like we'll make excuses and then stay and then be struggling with the relationship. But the thing that person is doing or like, it doesn't mean there's something wrong about me, but maybe this person is feeling like they're inadequate because they're, you know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
Well, sometimes one thing people do is they get on the cycle of like, if only they have this underlying belief, if only he liked me enough, he would be the way I want him to be.
Yeah.
But, a simple phrase is, if you want to know how hard it is to change other people, change yourself, right? So change yourself a little bit and then see, that's how hard it would be for him to change. You ever stay up too late, right? You're just someone who just stays up too late. You know you got to get up in the morning, but you just bullshit yourself, man, and you stay up late. And then you've only got 4 hours of sleep. And then the next day you're mad. But you go, that's the last time I'm doing this. But is it the last time? For many of us, no. You see what I mean? So like, she would have just an easy time changing herself from liking him as he will from, I don't know, going from a text guy to a FaceTime 3 times a day guy. She can ask him, but that's about the extent of what you can do. She can ask him and then say, well, then if you can't do that, then this doesn't meet my needs. Right? B Baby saying she likes surface level him, but has yet to like a deeper him. I don't think we know good enough. Like we don't know the situation. We don't know if they've been talking for a month or a year, and we don't know what happens when they're together, because it could be that when they're together, it's a magical 3 days, and then he ghosts her for a month. It could be that. We really don't know. What we know though is that she's saying, why won't this person? I like them, so why won't they change to be what I want them to be? Well, why don't you change? Right? That's the real solution. Once you've offered him, would you like to change, sir? If he says no, then the next solution is, then I'm going to change. And that's the person you can control.
Just yourself. That's so true. This dating app, culture, and I think now it's being utilized more now because of COVID. So it's kind of like the only way that we are able to like engage in the dating scene. On the profiles, people are saying no kids, right? They don't want any kids. They don't want you to have any kids. And this individual feels that it's selfish and that person is saying that. What do you say to that? If somebody, and not just no kids, but they're just looking for a hookup. And I think that, this now a lot of people are kind of in that mindset. And I'll tell you, my viewpoint is that at least they're stating what they want from the beginning. But I think people with kids or who may not be looking for just a hookup are insecure by it, or they look at it as a dig on them when it's probably not. But I'm curious to hear about what you think about that.
First off, I will say, right at this moment during COVID, and you're on there looking for just a hookup, that doesn't make me trust your genitals. That does not make me trust your genitals, because there's been a lot of plagues before COVID, right? And some of them, they make you grow warts and do all types. So that doesn't make me love your vagina, if you say that, or penis, whatever it is I'm looking for. But what I will say is, that being said, people have a right to be interested in whatever kind of relationship they want. I mean, should casual hookups outside of a pandemic, should casual hookups be, I'm sorry, is that like, that's against the rules? The rules that who made up? You, person who's here looking for love? I think it's better that they be upfront, because the alternative they could do is say, I'm here to make a deep connection, and all they really want to do is get your legs up in the air. So they could do that. So I think it's the most ethical thing is to be upfront. But if you're disappointed that they don't want more, I mean, I guess going Christian mingle or something. I don't know.
The Christians be getting it in too, down the low. Oh
yeah, but I think although I'm not exactly a nimble navigator of these different apps, but I get the impression that on one end, like Grindr is straight up like, I'm here for hot sex. And then all the way on the other end, there's like farmer's date or whatever it is. There's some farmer's site, which is like, I'm here for love. I don't know. Maybe they're hooking up all the time on the farmer's site. But you see what I'm saying? So like each app has its own culture, I believe. And I think Tinder is a little more hookup-y. That's what I believe. I understand that Tinder is more hookup-y. And therefore, I mean, you got to fish where the fish is at. You want a saltwater fish, you got to go to the ocean. Freshwater fish, you got to go to a lake. That's just that.
Yeah, and I don't want to shame anybody that may be hooking up during this COVID season, because technically you can get a test, wait 2 weeks. And I'm just saying, like, I just feel like we shouldn't be shaming people that is a part of this hookup culture during COVID if they're being safe. They're being safe.
You're supposed to wear a mask when you go outside, but somehow you can suck on somebody's fluids. Come on, dog. What's the mask? What's the mask for? It's to keep their fluids out of me, right? So shame. You do what you want to do, but it's pretty risky, man. Usually, I'm really rapid test. Yeah, Romello says rapid test same day. You're doing a lot at that stage. You're doing a lot. I get it. I've seen, I've done some crazy stuff for some baddies in my time, but come on, dog.
So COVID, you pushing it too far. Is that what you're saying?
I know what it's like to be thirsty. I do. But I got to tell you, you just think about somebody coughing on your face once, right? That's pretty gross, right? They cough on your face once. It's pretty gross, right? How about having somebody's semen and vaginal fluids mixing for an hour? Is that pretty good? It's pretty gross. So that's what I say. Now, when I said an hour, I knew I was talking big for a show. I said an hour, but in my heart, I knew I meant 16 minutes, including 50. So Romello, you were.
I was thinking the same thing when
I forced it. And I mean an hour over a week.
And V-Baby says she has a homegirl with kids, and dude told her while chilling with her that he can't take her seriously because of her kids. So what V-Baby is saying, I'm going to answer this question. I feel like people will settle, like this person saying, like, I can't take you seriously because of your kids, but this person may genuinely be a good person, and that person may enjoy their company. And unfortunately, because of maybe loneliness or the lack of feeling insecure, people will stay and settle and not get what they really want when the person already said, like, this isn't really serious, you got kids, I'm all set. Like, what do you think about that?
You know the antiquated phrase, why buy the cow when I could get the milk for free? Right? I and that's way but that was an old way of saying, if a woman has sex with a man before they're married, why would he actually marry her when he could get all the benefits that he wants? Now that's crass and that's crude, but there's some validity to the thing of this person saying you're good enough for A, but not for Z, right? You're good enough to do this, but not that one. So I'll chill with you, but I don't want to get to know your kids, or we're not going to move in, or whatever it is. And if you think you're better than that, instead of going, maybe he's right, maybe I'll never have anybody because I have kids. A lot of people have kids, man. And your kid, hopefully you have the mindset that me and my kids are both a package deal, and my kids are a good package. Yes, they come with a burden, but there's a way of looking at things. There's a way that a man can look at things where a person, but I mean a man in this case, look at things and say, you know what? I like that people rely on me. Mm-hmm. I like that people, that I can be a contributor. I'm not sizing everything up as if everything is a zero-sum game of like, well, what value do you bring? I make $2,000 more per year, but you have better benefits. It's not just that. Mm-hmm. Some of it's like, look, I like you enough to say, you know what, I'm taking you as your full self. Mm-hmm. And so, frankly, I hear that and I think it's pretty ugly. And I would, although she's allowed to make that deal and he's allowed to make that deal, I would think that him saying he thinks less of her for that reason would make her think less of him and perhaps renegotiate or really perhaps make a move.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of renegotiation isn't taking place because, I think people that grow up in church culture and just women in general, especially Black women, I feel like there's this pressure that they allow society to put on them to be in a relationship to complete them. I love what Miss Love on Miss Love on YouTube is saying, the desperation of it all. This is not the time to try to find. I would say stay focused on self-development, growing spiritually, financially, and physically. How do you think one can continue to do that while still trying to navigate this sense of, I need to be in a relationship because I feel like it would complete me? Because I feel like we have to be kind of balanced before we enter into a relationship, right?
You clearly don't have to be. But what you'll find, I think what people generally find is that as long as you have any type of pathology, you will find somebody whose pathology fits yours, right? So like narcissists and codependence, right? Those are pathologies that fit together, right? And so once you make yourself well-rounded, you are in the best possible position to deal with somebody who's well-rounded.
Yeah.
And so ideally, what did you say, Miss? Her name was P Love. I said, ooh, Miss P Love.
Miss P Love.
Right. That, spiritually, financially, physically, in many ways, it's a great time to do that because a lot of the distractions have been removed.
Yes.
Right. You can't go to the gym, but you could absolutely go for a walk every day because your friends, if your friends are social distancing, they're not calling you to say, oh, let's go to the club because it's not safe. It's not good. So do that walk, do that thing. It's easy to save up for people that have been fortunate enough to keep their occupation or keep their finances going. I recognize some people are not in that position, but if you work from home or whatever it is, what a great time. You know how I used to say, I should bring lunch, but instead I order it. Well, now just walk to that kitchen and make a sandwich, man. So it's a great time to take advantage of. And some people are going to slingshot out of this situation and be better than they were because they invested in this time. If you spend a lot of time thinking about, and there's other ways, I recognize there's a loneliness epidemic and it's really painful. And I recognize that, but there's a lot of different things you can rely on, including hopefully a circle of friends, family who you may not be. My family has a Zoom call, and I don't get enough goddamn Zoom. My family has a Zoom call every Sunday night. And let me tell you something. We didn't talk every Sunday night before the pandemic. We did not. Okay. And if you could imagine 6 me's on the call, because that's what it's like. It's 6 of me. Okay. You see the face you're making, Celeste? That's what it's like. It's brutal. We spent we were on the call lasted this last one last night for almost 4 hours.
Damn.
some ways we're close. We weren't all on the whole time, but in some ways we're closer now than we were before the pandemic.
Oh, that's
And
so.
so that's a possibility.
Yeah.
However, if you have to do it, it doesn't happen for you, but you have to be proactive. But I agree with Miss P Love very much that this is a time to do that. And when you're your best self, it's like if you knew you were going to get your law degree in a month, should you try for a job now or wait a month till you have the degree? When you're your best self, you'll get a better role.
That's good. I love it. I love it.
You could be your best self in a few months. Work on yourself. Let's say you got a therapist. Let's say, a black woman therapist with her own show, and you were to deal with her and help her. She would help you enrich yourself. The person you could be at the end of that wouldn't put up with bullshit like a guy saying, "I can't take you seriously. I mean, look at you. You got kids. Now bend over." That sounds crazy to me.
I just want, Romello, I will put your question up. I'm not going to hold back, so just relax. But I do want to, so everyone listening on the audio, so she says, dating is hard, but harder with mask on. Got to ask them to pull the mask down before trading numbers. True.
The old cartoons where guy goes to kiss his bride, he lifts the veil and it's like Bugs Bunny under there. That's what it's like.
So Romello is saying typically long-term relationships for a successful man is a setup for an L, whatever. And then he also says, he didn't think I was going to put it up, married women are cheating at almost the same rate as men, about time they don't deny themselves. I didn't read the last part. What do you think? Me and Jeff, we talked about this idea of monogamy. It was really actually a dope topic. What do you say about this part right here?
That married women are cheating at almost the same rate as men?
Marriage should be like a CD. There should be a term. He says it should be treated like a CD where you renegotiate. I feel like you can renegotiate at any time, really, right? I mean, like.
Listen, so Romello, who I don't know, but reading people and understanding people is part of my job.
Romello's the OG.
Right. So I can feel an OG who's been around, maybe he's had a long-term relationship, live with a woman or two, and he knows I ain't never going back. Not I'll never cut that deal again. Romello, I recognize that position more than you may realize. But what I'll say is that I take issue with the word should. And when I say should, it's prescriptive. I try to be descriptive. So people want what they want and live how they live. And our shoulds don't really matter. When you say marriage should be like this, I think maybe a better way to frame it is if I were to enter into any deal in the future, it would be like a CD, right? Which describes your position. Other people, they like the idea that, no, we're in this forever. It's just me and you, girl, against the world, right? So rather than describe for everybody, I would refocus it more individually and talk about what I want. Because that does avert some problems, right? In that case, it averts the problem of, let's say, you marry a woman and she truly lets herself go. I mean, she just doesn't even know where her toothbrush is because she don't use it. And she gains 200 pounds. And
struggling a little bit, though. What if she's struggling a little bit?
Well, whatever. But I'm saying you try to get her to go see Celeste, the therapist, but she won't do it. She goes, I don't need that. I'm as pretty as the day you met me. And it's just not true. Fine. Right? All that bad stuff happens. Fine. This averts that problem. But what about another problem? What about the problem of some people need to feel like, you know what? This is a long-term commitment and it's not so conditional. You know what I mean? Well, I'm not even saying that it works. I'm saying some people need to feel that way. Just like I might not believe in your religion, but individuals like their religion. So just because I don't think that a person's religion is true is not the same as people shouldn't have that religion. And so if people have that have a conviction that a marriage is for life, and I know it's 64% divorce rate, but I'm going to be in the 36% rate that makes it, and they take that, and that gives them energy and strength. Just like I don't smack the rosary out of women's hands and say Catholicism is not real, right? I say, look, if that is your totem that gives you focus, then at this point I think that's good. From the things I've learned in life, I think that's good and powerful. So that's why I don't have a prescription for the world. I have a description of how I think things will work.
Question. So, because the chances are higher of getting a divorce than staying married. Why do you think everybody's rushing to get married? And there's, I think there's this big hoorah, and people are like in love. But I feel like after the first year or two, things starts changing? Why do you think there's this like really push to like get a ring?
Well, let me say, actually, Americans are getting married later than ever. These are the stats that I know. Neither I nor Romello are showing a bunch of stats. Like, we don't have the websites with us. So what I would say is that, as far as I know, marriage rates are lower than they were in basically American history. And people are getting married older and older. Right? People used to commonly get married at 20. Now, when you hear someone getting married at 20, you say, well, that's you in your heart. You say that's crazy. 20 years old, right? So people are getting, and the divorce rate has been going down since its height at the early 70s, which, by the way, was at its height. In fairness, it was at its height because that's when marriage first became divorce first became okay. And thus, a lot of divorces that would have happened earlier happened in the 70s because it was like socially frowned upon before the 70s. So all that to say, I think that's a false premise. And I don't think people, as far as I know, that people are rushing to get married or whatever at higher rates. But why do people do that? I think they see it as some kind of accomplishment or milestone, right? They think that somehow their relationship is realer. They think that once they get married, that problem will be fixed. Like, I won't have these somehow, like, being married is the highest level of the relationship and it doesn't have problems. Even though when you really think of it, of course, so many marriages suck, as Romello would tell you right away. So I think people have a very magical view of what marriage is and don't understand that you're signing up for more work, not less. Because before, you always knew I could just fire you. But now it's like, if I fire you, I have to make a court agreement to visit my dog.
And then it's more work because...
I mean, you're truly shackled together. Just put it this way, right? Imagine whatever your job is, right? Whatever your job is. Imagine if, like, you and another person had to do that job. Does that make sense? So instead of Celeste the therapist, it's Celeste and Bob. And, like, he's in therapy with you, like, but also therapizing the client. And he's making the schedule. Like, it's like being in a potato sack race where when people tie their legs together, whatever that race is, 3-legged race, right? Like, you've agreed to have one set of finances. You've agreed to have we don't just agree to be together now. Technically, we've agreed to be together forever. We're legally like one person in many ways. That's hard. That's hard to do because other people aren't magically in tune with you. You have to constantly realign. It's super hard.
This is a statement you and Romello can agree on. Most people have an unrealistic expectation of what marriage is. Can you share, because I do want you to share your point about explicit saying
implicit, yeah.
Not just marriage, but in relationships, period, because I think that there are these norms that people assume creates a relationship. Can you talk to people about that may be listening?
Here's what I'll say about implicit versus explicit contracts. So a big problem you'll find, a norm to some degree, is in implicit contract, right? So, for example, one in dating that gets heard about is like if the guy takes the woman out for a fancy dinner, then she's obligated to do something physically with him, right? That would be like an implicit contract. Sometimes a woman might turn down a fancy dinner knowing, I do like lobster, but I don't want him to think I'm putting out or something like that. Or the guy might say, if he gives her the lobster, and then he tries to kiss her at the end of the night, and she goes, I think we're better as friends. The fear is the guy might go, what? After I bought you lobster? That would be a classic implicit contract. He implied the lobster is somehow like, you've implied that you are going to continue dealing with me or deal with me in certain ways. An explicit contract is quite the opposite. It's when everything is explicitly said, right? Everything explicitly stated or negotiated. So I would say, like, let's say, Celeste, Celeste says, Jeff, would you like to come on my show? And I said, Celeste, I would love to. And then in my head, I don't go, and my name better be as big as your name. It better say, let's talk about relationships with Celeste and Jeff. It better not say Celeste and Jeff. So instead, I would say, if that was important to me, which it is not, and Celeste is a dream to work with, but I would say, well, to be clear, I like when my name is big, or can it be big, or can it be as big as yours, or whatever explicit deal I want to make, right? And I think that a huge issue in relationships is when someone says, oh, I want you to be my girlfriend or be my boyfriend. And then within that, the person goes, yes, I agree. You're now my boyfriend. And then in that, they know, well, a boyfriend's home by 9 o'clock every night. Well, a boyfriend always pays for dinner. Well, a boyfriend takes off his coat and puts it over a puddle like it's 1750, right? And the boyfriend might have different views of what a boyfriend is. So I think you should explicitly negotiate things. It's important to me that you be home by 9 o'clock because I think that that's our quality time. And then the boyfriend would have to say, well, I agree or I disagree. Right. And that would be an explicit contract all the way through.
Right. And I feel like that's not happening. I feel like that's not happening. I just feel like people are entering into situationships hoping they turn into relationships.
Well, you hope to get somebody right. So on the other hand, a classic, and remember, these are generalities. It can go in any direction. A classic implicit relationship from women is I've stayed over your house or you've stayed over my house 3 nights in a row. And we had sex in every room and 3 times in the stove and all this stuff. So now we are boyfriend and girlfriend.
So definitely, you doing it for an hour and you on the stove?
Well, because the stove has the timer, so it helps me keep track. But right, and I ding that, and right on cue, I finish. But the thing is that somehow implies because we did it. Oh, we didn't use a condom, or we did it. I've literally heard women say, "Oh, you let me. I let you come in me." Because that's like, to them, that's like a line where once that line is crossed, we're something else. But that's a classic implicit contract, right? That has nothing to do with the actual situation, which is until we've talked about it, it's not the deal. The burden of the contract is on the implier. So meaning, until one of us says we're boyfriend and girlfriend, we're not. Until one of us says we're a monogamous or exclusive, we're not. Until one of us says boyfriend means I'm coming home at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. Sorry. Then I come home when I want. Every single thing is, it's not until you talk about it openly.
That's really good. And I can't end this topic without, because, I'm all about solutions, right? And I think that literally what you say is what I hear a lot around these contracts. And how does one have the dialogue? How does one start the conversation without sounding too pushy or sounding or not running somebody away? And I think people are thinking these things, having these thoughts, but not sure how to address it with the person that they really admire or want to be with. What do you say to that? Right.
Well, there's a concept that I use in my practice called inquiry versus advocacy, right? To inquire versus to advocate. So Celeste, instead of saying, Celeste, I want you to be my girlfriend and I need you and I want you and you got to be. And then you say, well, Jeff, I think it's going a little fast. I think it's going a little fast. And I say, hey, listen, but don't you like me? Don't you like me, Celeste? Come on, baby, please try it. You'll like it. You'll love it. A little bit of Jeff goes along, whatever it is. Instead to go, Celeste, I've been thinking about, taking it to the next level. And I really want you to be my girlfriend. And then, but it's such a way where I've stated my desire. But if you say like, well, Jeff, I think it's going too fast. Like, okay, I respect that. And that's cool. So are you saying you don't want to see each other at all? Or you just want to, no, I just want to take it slow. And I'm going to date Romello on Tuesdays and Thursdays and you on Wednesdays and Fridays. Probably don't say that, but you see what I'm saying? The idea that.
But then when they get the response, I guess it's up to me to figure out what I want to do.
That's true, because you could say, I want you to take me seriously, to harken back to the old question. And if you can't, then I want to become serious. And if you're not looking at that path, then I don't want to do anything at all. And then the guy says, I can't take you seriously. You got kids. Now spread your legs. You got to say, well, I decline. I see potential in you, but if you don't see potential in me, then, I don't want to get more wrapped up because we're not seeing eye to eye. It's not a punishment. I'm not withholding. I don't got the pussy at gunpoint, right? Like, do what I want or I'm gonna kill it. It's not that. It's, instead it's, most relationships aren't gonna be some kind of home run, right? It's mostly gonna be, we made sense in some ways, but we didn't make sense in enough ways. That's the most common outcome. The most common outcome is we barely made sense at all. Once I talked to him for 20 minutes, I realized I hated his guts. That's probably the most common outcome. Then after we went on 4 dates, but the way they did this in bed, or the way they talked after the second date, or XYZ made me realize we can't be anything. So it's mostly going to be strikeouts, and you got to accept that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, if we go into the situation without this expectation that Jeff is going to be my husband because I met him and I love how he looks, I love everything about him. So if I have this expectation in my head that Jeff is going to be my husband, it's going to be easier for me to let a lot of things go because I'm holding on to this expectation, as opposed to going into it understanding that, you know what, like, let me just see where he is. Let me be logical. Like, so relationship on YouTube, someone's asking, how do you move forward when emotionally you're not there yet? I think I hear what you're saying, relationships. I think you're saying, how do I move? Oh, you're rewording it. How do I move forward? How do you move on from a relationship when logically you're not ready, but emotionally you're not there yet? And right. I think this is the part that people get so entangled with, is that emotion and I don't think there's not enough logic. I think people are leading more with the emotion, but he makes me feel good, or she makes me feel good.
And people wield that against you. They can, you can sense it when somebody's all wrapped up in you, and everyone, well, I guess probably not everyone, but many people have the experience of knowing that somebody likes you so much, you got them wrapped around your finger, and you can basically cut a good deal for yourself, right? I'm only going to come over at 3 a.m., blow your back out. I'm going to be gone by 7 a.m. and you do my laundry, right? Like, and people enter into those.
Why would I stop that?
Yeah. And so, and I'm not saying that that's a bad deal as long as everyone's happy with it. But if one person is basically being chiseled down where they would like more, but they're so overwhelmed and flooded with the good feelings and good emotions. Again, it's like a thing like, wouldn't you like to, I don't know, drink and smoke weed and play video games all day, or whatever it is that you like to do? But most people don't do it because they know, I got to do what I got to do, not what I want to do. Mm-hmm. But somehow with relationships, they get a little confused about what should make the decision making. Now, who you like, that's not something that most people can consciously control, and I don't expect you to. But what you do about it will greatly affect your outcomes. So just because you like somebody doesn't mean you have to answer their calls. I mean, here's something that let's take it truly life or death. There are people in physically abusive relationships, but they do love that other person. And let me tell you something, that person can love them. That's a possibility, that someone can love you and punch you in the face. Mm-hmm. But you have to have the discipline to say, and basically the courage to say, I do feel right now like I love you and I can't imagine living without you. Yeah. But I have to make a rational, logical decision that is not the same as saying, first I'll stop loving you, then I'll leave. It works the other way. There's a phrase, feeling follows action, right? Yeah. It's not, it's not I'll get out of bed when I stop being depressed. That doesn't work, because as long as you're in bed, that's depressing. It has to go the other way, where you go, once I'll get out, I am depressed, but I will get out of bed. I will make my bed. I will take a shower. I will do what I got to do. I will ride my bike because that gives me solace. I will call my therapist because that's what I'm supposed to do when I'm in this position. And once all that happens, the depression will lift. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so it's feeling follows action. Mm-hmm. And you have to sometimes choose, but you have to know that when you're in the grips of depression or when you're wrapped all up. Feeling follows action, and you have to know that when you're gripped by feeling. You have to know, yes, I feel like shit, but if I get up and do these things, it will work just like it worked last time. And yes, I feel like shit, but if I let this dude go who denigrated me and told me that he can't take me seriously, then I will stop liking him in the future, just like I didn't like him in the past, and just like I liked other people, and who some people did take me seriously because I'm a person worthy of love.
Yeah, that's good. That was really good. Relation on YouTube. Thank you for that question. And I love that the way you broke it down. And I think that unfortunately, and not just with relationships, we got to really start to understand what we're feeling, because if we don't understand what we're feeling, we will never understand how we can change our behaviors. Most of our behaviors are directly linked to our emotions. And so I've been so fascinated around our thoughts and how our thoughts kind of control how we feel. And then the feelings turn into action. And then it gets even more complicated when you are talking about relationships. And I think that if you can really get in touch with like how you are feeling and what's triggering you, and you can start to look at your behavior. So if you're dealing with people and you're dealing and you're trying to stop and you're trying to figure out why, start looking within. And I know that's cliche. People say that all the time, but just kind of check in with yourself around like, how am I feeling right now? Because a lot of times we are doing stuff because of some vulnerable feeling, whether it's insecurity, anxious, sad, lonely, hurt, and then you do with somebody, and then afterwards you back to that same, the feeling ain't going nowhere. It's kind of, it could be like a drug. Some situations you may find yourself in. So definitely be mindful of that.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be on emotional autopilot. You want, if you decide to get back with him after a month or whatever it is, and he treated you bad, and
because it goes both ways. Because you do that a lot, Jeff. Not just him or her.
Mm-hmm.
Guys.
Oh, that's what I did. I'm sorry. I continually think I've now locked on to that the woman with the kids, but you couldn't be more right. This is not. I'm not only talking to women, and it's not only women that make most people struggle with getting out of emotional autopilot, right? And being again explicit with themselves. If you decide to cheat on your diet, you should say, you know what? I've decided that today the indulgence is worth more than the calories.
Yeah.
Not, I don't know. Just I wasn't thinking it before I knew it. I'd eaten a whole thing of ho-hos. Like, no, dog. Decide or don't decide, but don't get out of autopilot.
Yes, we got to get out of autopilot. How would you want to leave people after everything we've talked about today? Like, what message would you have to people? Because I feel like you're so good at breaking things down. And I can see you see problems and you can like automatically kind of see the solution. And this relationship thing is a huge, we make it bigger issue than it needs to be. Like, what would you want to leave people with?
I think, I appreciate everything everyone's saying. People calling me smooth. People
well, you started off by talking about sleeping, having sex for an hour, doing it all around the house, on the stove, everywhere else. And so why wouldn't we call you smooth, Jeff?
I mean, I'm just thinking about the Aaron Hall videos I've seen. I'm more of a...
Jeff goes a long way. So all of that together, what do you want to do?
Yeah, well, I guess you have been getting the secret message. The only thing I'll leave people with is just that, Socrates had a phrase, which is that the unexamined life is not worth living. And so you have to examine your life. It's not that if you do so, you'll always make the right decision. But if you don't examine it, then you won't be making decisions at all. You just be going through it on autopilot. And that's not what we want.
Jeff, I love that so much. That is so dope. You have, it's like you're a jack of all trades. Jeff is amazing. I love Jeff. This is not his first time on here. He comes on, we talk about relationships, but I want you to tell people a little bit about, call it Hella Black Trivia.
Yeah. Hella Black Trivia. It's I think people are familiar with, pub trivia or whatever it is. Years ago, my partner Pops, and he hit me up. He said, Jeff, you're a jack of all trades. Let's go to a trivia night. And we went. And it was good. It was at like a Irish bar, like the Purple Blarney Shamrock situation. And he said, we went and it was good. They were welcoming to us, but all the questions were in one direction. They were all like, oh, which Friends episode was this? And which Anna Green Gables did that? And Sound of Music did this? And mayonnaise is that? And my partner Pops, he had an idea, which is let's see if we can start a trivia night that is more inclusive. And so, we're in Boston, and Boston's Harlem is called Roxbury. And he went down to the Dudley Cafe in Roxbury and asked them if we start a trivia night. They said yes. Hella Black Trivia was born. And now 5 years later, we do, we call it Trivia with Seasoning, right? And we do live events back before COVID. Now we do a lot of, different corporate events, clearly Black History Month and stuff like that, but just holiday parties. And it's just trivia that, instead of asking about Friends, maybe we'll ask about Martin. Instead of asking about the Beatles, maybe we'll ask about, New Edition. You know what I'm saying? New Edition obviously is the Beatles of Black people.
Can I have you for like 3 more minutes? You got 3 more minutes of your time?
Let's do it.
This is a really good question. Sorry, I can't let it go. Relationships are hard. You be coming with the fingers. This is good. Okay, so what happens if you are experiencing vulnerability hangover AKA you feel stuck in the situation because you feel like you might have shared way too many intimate details with somebody you regret it.
I mean, is a situation that you're a Nazi war criminal and they're going to turn you in? I mean, what is it? What are they going to tell you? If you own who you are and yourself, I mean, look, I owned it for myself. I have sex for an hour and yeah, I own that. I'm not ashamed of my sexual prowess. No, but the fact is, yes, a person should not let out things with people that they don't know. But let's say you've already done so. Well, then your next thing is to take the fact that you can't be blackmailed if you aren't afraid of whatever it is coming out. So if you, for example, told somebody, I don't know, sometimes I feel inadequate. Well, if they would have, I don't know, spread that around, then you would say, well, sometimes I do. But you know what? I'm working on it. And I'm not someone that blackmails people like a piece of garbage. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Or if you told somebody, my baby father is not really my child's father, that is a big thing to share with someone you don't know. But then I guess what a good time to have a reckoning. Because as long as you give in to any type of blackmail, even implied blackmail, as long as you give into that, it never goes away, right? If you give the blackmailer what they want, there's a scam they run where they go, hey, I've got nudes of you. I won't even use Celeste. I've got nudes of you, Miss P Love. Yeah, I'll use her. I got nudes of you, Miss P Love, and I'm going to send them to your family unless you send me more nudes, right? Then she sends me more nudes. I go, thank you. Our deal is complete? No. I go, now you got to meet me under the bleachers. So the sooner you just rip the Band-Aid off and go, you don't own me and those secrets don't own me, the better. Romello's quite right. You should never disclose. Well, you should certainly be judicious with disclosing yourself so that you don't have that vulnerability hangover. But in the event that you have done so, then the sooner you are able to, I was going to say man up, but let's be gender neutral. As soon as you're able to person up and own it, the better off you'll be in terms of that won't have power over you anymore. And I think you'll be liberated. They just said, I don't own my sexuality.
I don't understand that.
I do. I believe they're saying they're in some sort of closet, right?
Oh, okay.
And so I understand. And as challenging as it is, you will always have that problem. Relationships are hard until you do so. It's work. I'm not saying it's not work, but if I'm interpreting this correctly, and maybe your family doesn't know about your sexual orientation or your gender identity or something along those lines, every partner you ever have will have that over you. But the minute you come out, you might face trouble, but the one thing you won't be facing is having a dual identity.
Yeah.
Right? Those two, see that broken heart in your avatar? That's like the two sides of yourself. And whatever happens, once you come out, you can make them one whole again. And you say, family, love me or hate me, I'm gay. Family, love me or hate me, I'm trans. Whatever it is. That's what you can do.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. Everybody, for all your questions. Thank you. This was really good. You know how I feel about you, and I appreciate you for making space to come on. If you guys want to find Jeff, you can find him
at jeff@rogersleads.com.
I'll make sure to put that in the show notes. Jeff will be back on. We'll have Jeff back on. So make sure you follow Jeff. And also Hella Black Trivia, you can get that straight to your career. Doing it now, right?
We do it every third Tuesday, and you can book us for private events like your office party or bar mitzvah, whatever it is. And I just saw therapy by email. So yeah, I think you should reach out to Celeste. Yeah. Relationships are hard because I think what you're going through is tough, but you're not the only person that's ever went through it. Many people have gone through it before.
No,
so
you're not.
There is a template. It's different for everybody, but you're not the first. And I know it's very challenging, easy for me to say as a cisgendered hetero man, but at the same time, I joke around a lot, but I'm really sympathetic to this. But I'm confident that whatever it is, I hear again and again, people's lives are better when they are living their full, true selves. Yeah. It's very hard for me to imagine someone who lives a fulfilled life and yet their family doesn't even know who they are and how they love. That's not the way to live a fulfilled life.
No, it's not. And there, I feel like the enemy within you is worse than anything outside of you. And so really kind of, and this is for anybody that's listening, that's grappling with whatever, like really just kind of make peace so that you can feel that wholeness, whether it's with your past, with what you've done, you can't change it, right? You can't change how you feel, what you like. So why not be honest with yourself so that you can live life and have a little bit of peace? We only have one. I said we only got one. If we had 9 lives, then I'd be like, all right, maybe we can try again the next life. But we only got one life, so why not do it right? That what makes us feel good, as long as we're not harming anybody.
Agreed. We agree all the way, Celeste.
Thank you, Jeff. Everybody say bye to Jeff. Thank Jeff. We love you. And that, my friends, is a wrap. That was an amazing episode I had with Jeff. Jeff is an executive coach and a trainer, a facilitator. He really loves helping people solve their own problems. You can always reach out to him. The link is in the show notes. You can email him, Jeff@Rogers, ROGERS, leads, LEADS.com. If you have questions about Hella Black Trivia, you can email him, info@hellablacktrivia.com, or check out Hella Black Trivia at the website, hellablacktrivia.com. Until next time, beautiful people, I will talk to you later.